Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnupad Panamansa Paripradrakacharya Stotarasatashi Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Raj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shrita Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shama Gun Radha Kunigiri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jumana Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol. Jai Maharaj. Welcome everyone to Srimad Bhagavatam class with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. Today is Wednesday, May 31st, 2023. We're reading in the third canto, chapter 19, the killing of the demon Hiranyaksha, and we take it up again with text 33. And Maharaj welcomes your comments and questions, so please use the raise hand feature, or simply unmute yourself and speak when Maharaj asks for questions, or you can type your comments into the chat window. We ask that you not send any chat messages as Maharaj is reading something there because it makes it more difficult to read. And at the end of class, you'll find some links in the chat window that you can share with your friends so that they can attend as well. And if anyone wants to lead the closing kirtan, send me a message in the chat. Maharaj, we're so glad that you could join us from Dallas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Tusi, I'm having number 34.
You are? Okay, let me make sure. You're probably right. I just making sure for myself.
Okay.
No, I think that's too far ahead.
Text 34.
No, I don't think that's right. Seems to me that 31.
I'm looking in the chat from last time. Let's see. Yeah, it's 34. The last one.
34, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, yeah. Well,
Sorry.
Okay.
that's really true.
Thank you, Mahesh Pandit Prabhu. Always on the spot.
I think I was really tired because I stopped at 31. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Anyesham Punya Shlokanam Uddama Yashasham Satam Upashutya Bhavein Moda Shri Vatsankasya Kim Punaha. What to speak of hearing of the pastimes of the Lord, whose chest is marked with Shrivats. People may take transcendental pleasure even in hearing of the works and deeds of the devotees, whose fame is immortal. Purport. Bhagavatam literally means the pastimes of the Lord and the Lord's devotees. For example, there are pastimes of Lord Krishna and narrations of devotees like Prahlad, Dhruva, and Maharaj Ambarish. Both pastimes pertain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead because the devotees' pastimes are in relation with him. The Mahabharata, for example, the history of the Pandavas and their activities, is sacred because the Pandavas had a direct relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Jnana Timirantasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurn Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Shapadantikam Vandehang Shri Guru Shri Jatapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lolita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Manchako Pitarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vashadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare Hare. The yes, the Anyesham Punyashlokana. Punyashlokana means the pious, those who have a pious reputation. Anyesham, others. That means the devotees. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions Yudhisthira Maharaj. Srila Prabhupada mentions Prahlad, Dhruva, and Ambarish. So this is Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam means the Lord and the devotees who are in relationship with the Lord. The just trying to remember how that was. There was something Prabhupada said. I don't have it right, so I'm not going to hazard it. The Satam means the devotees. So by hearing about the devotees, one gets transcendental pleasure, moda. Then Kim Puna, what to speak then of hearing about the Lord himself? But hearing about the Lord means hearing about the Lord in relationship with the devotees. Hearing about the Lord means hearing about the Lord in relationship with the devotees. Sometime, maybe someone remembers Prabhupada said something about Joan of Arc in Srimad Bhagavatam. To Satsrup Maharaj, I think, or Jadharani. Whether there was anything like that in Srimad Bhagavatam, or in any case, that without trying to get the question right, the essence of it was that Prabhupada said that the glories of the devotees include all the devotees. So why not Joan of Arc in the Srimad Bhagavatam? That's essentially the way I remember it. Someone who might do better. The idea is that the activities of devotees in relationship to the Lord are what constitute Srimad Bhagavatam. Let's see. Here it is. Is there anyone similar to Joan of Arc in the Srimad Bhagavatam? Prabhupada says, Are you familiar with Joan of Arc? She was a saint. Yes. Is there any person in the Srimad Bhagavatam similar to her? Prabhupada, you want to see Joan of Arc in Srimad Bhagavatam? Why don't you take Joan of Arc of Srimad Bhagavatam? Any activities of devotees, that is Srimad Bhagavatam. What do you mean by Bhagavatam? Bhagavatam, Bhagava. This word comes from Bhagavan, Bhagavat Shabda. The word is Bhagavata. And pertaining to Bhagavata, or maybe it's Bhagavata, is Bhagavata. So Bhagavata can be expanded to any unlimited. So anything in relationship with God, that is Bhagavatam. So if Joan of Arc was in relationship with God, she is also Bhagavad. You should expand Bhagavatam in that way. Okay, I wasn't far off. So the activities of the Lord and his devotees are what constitute Srimad Bhagavatam. So one takes pleasure in hearing about the devotees, and certainly then one will take pleasure in hearing about the personality of Godhead himself. One Prabhupada does mention Yudhisthira Maharaj, essentially the Pandavas. Okay. Now there is
there's a comment. Yeah. Okay.
If one remembers a pure devotee like their Guru Maharaj, Saraswati says, at the time of death, would they reach Goloka, Vaikuntha, or the destination is where that pure devotee is constantly residing? I mean, would they reach Vaikuntha, or would they reach the place where he is? That we will find out. That we will find out. But there's no difference. Wherever the pure devotee is, Krishna is there, and therefore that place is not different from Goloka or Vaikuntha. And that's there, that the Goloka Vrindavan on earth is not different from Goloka in the spiritual sky. Therefore, if we join the spiritual master in Goloka, or we join him on earth, in the place where Krishna is appearing, either is good. Generally, we hear that after leaving this body, if we're meant to join Krishna's pastimes, first we join in a planet where Krishna is appearing in this world. Then we can be promoted to the spiritual, the Goloka Vrindavan. Anything else?
Maharaj?
Yes.
When I was still very new, Lilamrita, Prabhupada Lilamrita was one of the first books that I read, and it was extremely relishable. And around the same time, I learned that the Bhagavatam, we only had 12 cantos, and in the higher planets, there were many more. And I fancied that in other planets or other universes, their Bhagavatams had to contain Srila Prabhupada's pastimes. And I was wondering if that's just idle speculation, or do you think it might be likely?
They've changed the books to include Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
Certainly the demigods must take pleasure in talking about Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you.
Yogajendram Chashagrastam Jyayantam Sharanambujam Kroshantinam Karenunam Krishtrato Mochayadrutam. Personality of Godhead delivered the king of the elephants, who was attacked by an alligator and who meditated upon the lotus feet of the Lord. At that time, the female elephants who accompanied him were crying, and the Lord saved them from the impending danger. Purport: the example of the elephant in danger who was saved by the Supreme Lord is especially cited here, because even if one is an animal, he can approach the personality of Godhead in devotional service, whereas even a demigod cannot approach the Supreme Person unless he is a devotee. The verse begins with Ya, he who, so that means it's extending on from the previous verse. previous verse ended by speaking about Srivatsankasya, Srivatsanka, the personality of Godhead who bears the mark of Srivats. So now we learn more about that personality of Godhead. Yo Gajendra Jasham Grastam. He's the person who saved Gajendra, who was Jashagrastam, seized by the crocodile. How was the crocodile saved? Jayantam Charanam Bhujam. He was simply thinking of the personality of Godhead, Jayantam, meditating upon the lotus feet of the Lord. And Amochayad Drutam, Kroshanti Nam, Karenu Nam. The female elephants were crying. Well, that doesn't do very much good. You know, the male elephant is in trouble and the female elephants are crying. Yeah, what good is that going to do for him? So the man is dying, or a man is in difficulty, and his wife and daughters or sisters are crying. So what effect will that have? It's not particularly helpful. But the elephant helped himself by meditating upon the lotus feet of the Lord, and the Lord responded. The Lord responded, even though he was just an elephant. That was recalled also by Prahlad Maharaj after Nrsingadev appeared and the demigods had offered prayers to no avail. The Brahma pushed Prahlad forward, that you please try to pacify the Lord. We've been unsuccessful, but he came for you, so you try. So then Prahlad Maharaj was hesitant. All these great demigods have offered their beautiful prayers to the Lord in Sanskrit poetry. What can I do? I'm just the son of a demon. But then he remembered that Gajendra, who was only an elephant, not even a human being, and the Lord saved him. So he thought, all right, at least I'm a human being. Let me try to say something. So the Lord is being remembered here for saving Gajendra, who was only an animal and who, just by dint of his meditation on the Lord, was saved. Yes, Tulsi Priya.
Maharaj, I don't remember the details of the pastime so well. I do remember the gorgeous painting of Gajendra offering the lotus. But I was just wondering about the quality of remembrance. Like, I don't remember if Gajendra was remembering the Lord out of terror, or if he was peaceful because he was remembering the Lord. And I wonder if it matters so much, because if something like that were to happen to me, I'd maybe remember the Lord, but it would be in total terror and panic. And I'm wondering if that matters so much.
Somehow or other, to remember Krishna. What is that? Out of fear, out of lust, out of anger. If someone remembers Krishna, then he's very fortunate. If I remember, Gajendra's also cited Arta Tarti Jagyasu, those who were in difficulty. Arta means those who were in trouble. Chaturvida Bhajante Mam, these four kinds of fortunate persons, if fortunate, can approach the Lord. So Gajendra did that. He wasn't even a person, he was an elephant, but he fortunately prayed to the Lord, and the Lord saved him. So Artas, the devotees are accepted for whatever reason they came. Artarti, and Dhruva Maharaj was looking for prophet. Gyani, the Kumaras, were looking for knowledge. So for whatever reason, if one comes, then yes.
Thank you.
And Praveen's given the verse. Manye tanab pijana rupatapash shuta jas teja prabhava bala paurusha buddhi yoga naradhanaya hibavanti parasya pumso bhaktya tutosha paramahan gajayutapaya. Prahlad Maharaj. One may possess wealth, an aristocratic family, beauty, austerity, education, sensory expertise, luster, influence, physical strength, diligence, intelligence, mystic yogic power. But I think that even by all these qualifications, one cannot satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, one can satisfy the Lord simply by devotional service. Gajendra did this, and thus the Lord was satisfied with him. Thank you for that. Saraswati, if Gajendra was able to be saved or liberated by Krishna, why was King Bharat in the body of a deer not liberated immediately? And he had to take another human body. These things are up to Krishna. He could have, just as we were reading the other day here, I think, that here in Dallas, that Krishna saved Maharaj Parikshit in the womb. He could have saved him from the curse of Shringi. But the Lord decided not to. He had another purpose. So sometimes the Lord acts one way, sometimes he acts another way. He's not cookie cutter. He's not stereotyped in his activities. He has his own plan. And therefore, Bhishmadev also prays that no one can understand the plan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's not that he's obliged to act according to a particular pattern. He can do as he likes. Okay. Anything else? Sukaradhyam Rijubhir Ananya Sharanarnabhi Kritagya Koda Seveta Turaradhyam Asadhubhi. Let's get a moment here. One more, please. I beg your indulgence. What grateful soul is there who would not render loving service to such a great master as the personality of Godhead? The Lord can be easily pleased by spotless devotees who resort exclusively to him for protection, though the unrighteous man finds it difficult to propitiate him. I'm reminded of Uddhava's verse that who would surrender to someone, who else could be such a wonderful master as Krishna, who so kind that he gave liberation to Bhakti, Aho Bhakti, to Putana, although she was duplicitous, although she came under false pretexts, pretending to be a mother. the Lord accepted her service. So how could one look for a greater master than Krishna? I think Kulashekar Maharaj also praised Praharshiyashyami Sanata Jivita. I'll be very joyful when I get Krishna as my master. Prabhupada explains that now we're anatta. We have no master, we're like orphans. Or like street dogs. The street dog has no master. So he's unhappy, especially in India. Street dogs are really dogs. But if the dog gets a good master, then he's happy. Everything he needs is taken care of. So praharshiyashyami sanata jivita. The devotee becomes so joyful to have the greatest of masters, the personality of God. Every living entity, especially, Prabhupada says, persons in the human race, must feel grateful for the benedictions offered by the grace of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, anyone with a simple heart of gratefulness must be Krishna conscious and offer devotional service to the Lord. Those who are actually thieves and rogues do not recognize or acknowledge the benedictions offered to them by the Supreme Lord, and they cannot render him devotional service. Ungrateful persons are those who do not understand how much benefit they're deriving by the arrangement of the Lord. They enjoy the sunshine and moonshine, and they get water free of charge, yet they do not feel grateful, but simply go on enjoying these gifts of the Lord. Therefore, they must be called thieves and rogues. Srila Prabhupada is glossing the word kritagya. Kritagya means a grateful person. Kritagya. This is a natural quality of a good person, to be kritagya. If something is done for us, ingratitude is condemned. What is it? How much sharper than a dragon's teeth it is to have, how much sharper than a dragon's tooth it is to have an ungrateful child. Children should be grateful. Benefactors, those who've received something from a benefactor should be grateful. We've benefited so much, and if we just take it that, yes, I was entitled, or we just don't care, and then ingratitude, that kind of ingratitude, I just take from you, and I don't appreciate your kindness. No reciprocation. That's ungrateful. For being, quotes, Ishtan Pogan Hivo Deva Dasyante Yagyapa Vita Tayardatan Pradaya Ibyo Yo Bunte Stena Evasa. Yeah, those who just take from the demigods. The demigods, by Krishna's arrangement, are supplying light, water, heat, everything, and air. So if we just take everything ungratefully and fail to acknowledge their contribution, then stain evasa, we're just thieves. Evam vartitam chakram nanuvartayati haya agayurindriya ramo mogam partha sajivati. The annad bhamti bhutani, everything comes from grains. We all live on grains. Grains come from rain. Without rain, you can't have crops. the grains come from yajna. The yajna comes from work or prescribed duties. Prescribed duties come from the Vedas, and therefore the Lord is personally present in acts of sacrifice. So therefore we're meant to offer gratitude, sacrifices and gratitude to the Lord and the Lord's representatives. If we don't, then we're sinful. Aghayu, our lifetimes are sinful. Indriya Rama, we just want to enjoy sense gratification. We just want to enjoy what we get and not express any indebtedness or gratitude to those who made everything possible. Then we're thieves and we're ungrateful. Even the demigod worshippers, at least they're a little grateful. The demigods, just like Nanda Maharaj says, that is, we're grateful we have to express our gratitude to King Indra because he provides the rain. So that's part of the Vedic culture. But Krishna, of course, wanted to bring Nanda Maharaj to a higher plane, or wanted to demonstrate that there's no need of separately worshiping the demigods. Mam ekam sharanam vraja. If one simply worships Krishna, all purposes are fulfilled. By watering the root of the tree, one waters the leaves and branches. By feeding the stomach, one feeds the whole body. And by worshiping Krishna, one worships all the demigods. But duraradyam asadu be, those who are sadhus, non-devotees, not sadhus, who are no good, asadu be, duraradyam. They can't worship Krishna. For them, worshiping Krishna is impossible. Or, yes, asadupi. But kritagya, kana seveta, what grateful person would fail to render service? Sukha aradyam, he's easily worshipped. Rijubi, by those who are straightforward, who are not pretentious. Rijubi. Sukha aradyam, happily worshipped, easily worshipped. Susukam kartamapya. But those who are asadhu, they find it very difficult. No, worship. Why should we worship? Saraswati, ungratefulness seems to be increasingly prominent in this day and age. One child told his elderly parents he didn't ask for them to have a child, him. So it was for their pleasure and their choice, and he doesn't owe them anything. That's sadly the state of affairs in the modern world, and particularly in America, at least other countries also, but America comes to mind. There's gratitude is like a foreign idea. It's a foreign idea, so young people don't feel like in India. My goodness, if there's such a feeling of indebtedness to parents, such a feeling of indebtedness and gratitude to parents. But in the West, it's like young people can't wait to get away from their parents. And maybe they do something for them at some point out of some feeling of obligation or something. But this sense of honor sort of went out with went out with the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not kill, honor thy father and thy mother. These things are, especially for the non-devotees, even from those who say, anyway, we won't get into that, but yes, Yasti Bhaktir Bhagavat Yakinshana. Those who are devotees naturally have all the godly qualities. So they're grateful, they honor their parents, they are reluctant to kill even an ant. But those who are non-devotees, what good qualities? They're simply interested in sense gratification. And Prabhupada said of the demonic, they'll do anything wrong for their sense gratification. I was listening to a lecture, he said it several times, they'll do anything wrong for their sense gratification. Rabin says, could breathing of air, the sunlight provided, or any other such basic necessities provided be considered for enjoyment, since these are the basic necessities of life? Could they be considered sources of enjoyment? Sure, they're sources of enjoyment. The Prabhupada gave the example, though, of what that enjoyment is. But yes, it's enjoyment. Just to be able to live is a kind of enjoyment. But Prabhupada gave the example. No, Chaitanya Charitamrita gives the example. Some thief is punished by being submerged underwater, grabbed by the hair and pushed underwater. In America, colonial America, they called a dunking stool. Some sort of contraption that they put you on, and then they dunk you under the water. I guess they have to make everything complicated. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, they just grab you by the hair and put you under. Anyway, you're put underwater so you can hardly breathe. You're just about dead, and then they bring you up. You get a gasp of air. So then certainly that's enjoyment. Then they push you down again. So that's enjoyment in the material world. You get your moment of sense gratification, and then suffering again. Tulsi Priya, we're so used to having air and sunlight, we don't even notice how enjoyable it is. We spoil it. You give us something enjoyable, we spoil it. We pollute the air, we pollute the water. We mess everything up. First we steal it, and then we fight over it, fighting over land, fighting over water, air rights, water rights. First we steal it, then we fight over it. This is thieves. The thieves steal it, and then they fight over it. Gurudas says, going back a couple of purports, a devotee is taught that a prayer to God out of fear for salvation is a second or third class prayer. Gajendra prays to the Lord to glorify him, but also to be saved from the crocodilian jaws of death. But the great devotee, Queen Kunti, prays to always be placed in danger so that she can get Krishna's association again and again. Two pure devotees, very different circumstances, seen as wonderful examples of how to please Krishna by glorifying him and praying to be engaged in his service. One wonders how the tendency develops in the material world that God is there only if you have exhausted all other options. The example comes to mind of atheists in foxholes, and that his role, if he exists, is limited to saving us from dangers so that we can go on with our samsara existences. It's easy to write God off if he doesn't fulfill my desire, and save me from my own self-created situation. Yeah, there are a lot of points in that, in what you're saying there. First, that different devotees, they glorify the Lord different ways, some perhaps with more self-interest than others. Gajendra is interested in being saved from the crocodile. Kunti is just glorifying the Lord. But they both please Krishna by glorifying him and praying to be engaged in his service. And one wonders how the tendency develops in the material world. That God's there only if you're exhausted. Well, this is unwillingness of the conditioned souls to serve. They don't want to serve. They don't want to serve. Maybe they have some limited space in their life for devotion or religion. Then when they're in trouble, then they may approach the Lord. There's a verse Prabhupada quotes in Bhagavatam. Let's see if I can find it. I think it's in Bhagavatam that he quotes it. Let's see. It's quite a well-known verse in Hindi. Here it is, I think. Dukh mein sab hari bhaje sukh mein bhaje na koi sukh mein jo hari bhaje dukh kahe ka ko hoy. Everybody worships God when they're in difficulty, but it's very good if someone actually worships the Lord during happiness. Prabhupada quotes that rather well-known verse. But we have a natural reluctance. Those who are impious have a natural reluctance to serve Krishna. So maybe they approach God when they're in difficulty. All of us, conditioned souls. What is that? Even the pious, they approach the Lord when they're in difficulty, when they need money, when they're curious, when they're looking for knowledge. Those are the pious people. The impious, even when they're in difficulty, even when they're in need of money, even when they're looking for knowledge, they deliberately avoid the Lord. So averse to serving. So averse to serving. And then even those who serve, their devotion may be so tenuous that if they don't get what they pray for, as you point out, they back out. Well, I prayed to God, he didn't give me anything. It's all useless. And this is the mentality of those who are unfortunate. Yes, Tulsi Priya.
Maharaj, maybe you can help me with this. I was reading something a long time ago by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and he was saying that even for devotees, when they are in a situation where their lives are in danger and they call out to the Lord, that's not considered an inferior prayer compared to just like Queen Kunti, just simply glorifying the Lord, because that fear, if your life is suddenly in danger, it's just automatic. It's like a working of the material energy and you're not able to control it. So for a devotee to call out to Krishna, because they're in immediate danger, is not considered an inferior prayer. And I think what's extraordinary about Gajendra is that he was just an elephant, and when he was in trouble, then he remembered the Lord. You wouldn't expect him to remember at all. So
yeah, I think that I've seen that point somewhere. And we see that the Vrindavan, the devotees just spontaneously call out to Krishna. Oh, Krishna, Krishna. There's some threat, there's some And it's not that they're materialistic, it's just that they're, what else are we going to do but call out to Krishna? That's their natural, spontaneous feeling. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. We might have time for one more verse. Yovai Hiranyaksha Vatam Mahadbhutam Vikriditam Karana Sukaratmana Shrunoti Gayat Yanumodatenjasa Vimuchyate Brahma Vidhad Pidvijaha. O Brahmanas, anyone who hears, chants, or takes pleasure in the wonderful narration of the killing of the Hiranyaksha demon by the Lord, who appeared as the first boar in order to deliver the world, is at once even the killing of a Brahmin. Purport: since the personality of Godhead is in the absolute position, there's no difference between his pastimes and his personality. Anyone who hears about the pastimes of the Lord associates with the Lord directly. And one who associates directly with the Lord is certainly freed from all sinful activities, even to the extent of the killing of a Brahmin, which is considered the most sinful activity in the material world. One should be very eager to hear about the activities of the Lord from the bona fide source, the pure devotee. If one simply gives oral reception to the narration and accepts the glories of the Lord, then he is qualified. The impersonalist philosophers cannot understand the activities of the Lord. They think that all his activities are Maya. Therefore, they're called Mayavadis. Since everything to them is Maya, these narrations are not for them. Some impersonalists are reluctant to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, although many of them are now taking an interest in it just for monetary gain. Actually, however, they have no faith. On the contrary, they describe it in their own way. We should therefore not hear from the Mayavadis. We have to hear from Sutta Goswami or Maitreya, who actually present the narrations as they are. And only then can we relish the pastimes of the Lord. Otherwise, the effects on the neophyte audience will be poisonous. Well, there are many points here. This is the beginning of what we call Palashruti. These are verses that extol the benefits that one gets from hearing a particular passage, Palashruti. And often these benefits are a long life and great opulence and freedom from this and that, all sorts of material benefits, which are inducements to the materially inclined persons. You just hear about these topics and you'll get everything needed. The devotees will take pleasure in hearing anyway. They don't care whether they get a long life or a beautiful wife or great riches. They hear anyway. But to induce newcomers, such statements are made. Yovai Hiranyaksha Vatam Mahadbhutam, this wonderful or astonishing or Adbhuta means wonderful killing of Hiranyaksha. Vikriditam Karana Sukaratmana, the Lord's pastime, his play of killing This is a wonderful thing. A child plays with toy animals, but Krishna plays with great demons like Hiranyaksha. For him, we were hearing the other day, like subduing those bulls. Krishna played with them like toy animals. So here he plays in this wonderful pastime of fighting with Hiranyaksha and killing him. Karna Vikriditam Karna Sukara Atmana. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead appearing as a boar. So if one hears Shrinoti, Gayati, or chants about these activities, or Anumodati, if he enjoys, if he takes pleasure in these activities, hearing or chanting, then Vimuchyate, he becomes freed, Brahmavadhat, even from the kill, Brahmavadhatapi, even from the killing of a Brahmin, he becomes freed from the reactions of that. And Prabhupada explains that there's no difference between the Lord and his pastimes. So therefore these effects are achieved. And one should hear from the right source. Mayavadi Pasha Shunve Sarvanaj. You should not hear from the Mayavadis. All right, we can stop here.
Sadhu
And-
Seva Prabhu, sorry,
Yes.
Sadhu Seva Prabhu has stepped up to lead kirtan.
Try.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Prabhupada Purnamansa Sri Prajukacharya Ashtottara Sri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Raj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakti Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Kundaratha Kundagiri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Gangamai Ki Jai Jamunamai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Go Premanande.
Thank you,
Thank you
Maharaj.
very much, Sadhu Seva. Beautiful kirtan. Thank you to all the devotees.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Panchatattva Prabhu. And thank you, Haridas, Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
And Sharadam, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Shraddha.
you, Maharaj. And
Thank
thank you to
you.
everyone for joining us tonight. Please share those class links with your friends, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow for Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita reading with Jayadvaita Swami. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Srila
Jai.
Prabhupada Ki Jai. His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj Ki Jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki
Jai.
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 Gaur Premanande.
Hari 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 Bol.
Hari Bol.